Our 11 o'clock session is Luke Eggebraaten from Phaser Marketing. Luke is a serial dirt entrepreneur who currently resides in Gilbert, Arizona. Luke is the founder of Phaser Marketing, which focuses on digital marketing programs for excavation and septic companies. They specialize in working with 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure construction companies that need help taking their online presence up a notch. Luke also started a sister company, Dirtwork Marketing, is the co-host of the Dirtbags podcast, which you'll get to hear during this lunchtime, and is a partner in a drag racing company, Turf Wars Racing. Luke is also the author of The Digital Dirt World, which is what you guys will be receiving today, and his book helps construction companies navigate in the digital world. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Luke Eggebraaten.
Appreciate it. Go get him. All right. I've never had a walk-up music, so that was pretty cool. Jason, thank you for the intro. That means a lot, and thank you all here for having me. I flew in a couple days ago into Grand Rapids, and Dervin was so kind to pick me up in the truck and carry all my luggage. So as you guys will see, I did pack 100 pounds of books. So it was two carry-ons, 230 books, and that was a big piece of what I wanted to give you guys today is, for one, I want you to learn one thing during my session today, but more importantly, I want you to go home with something of tangible value. So hopefully we can teach you one thing today, but at the very least, you can go home with a copy of my book that I published this last March. So let's get into it. So this presentation today, what we're going to be talking about is building your online presence as a septic contractor. And so as we get going here, first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about myself and the biggest piece of my life. Besides my love for Jesus Christ, it is my beautiful wife, Olivia. She's not here today. She's at home working, putting bacon on the table for us. She works at a company called Carvana in Arizona, and that's what moved us down south. I'm originally from northern Minnesota, so I'm very used to these winters, but this winter's been a bit different for you guys. So that is a picture of my wife and I. We love to travel the world and see experiences, so we would rather cut costs doing other things so that we can travel and see more of these beautiful places. So this is a trip we did last year to Banff, Alberta, and here's a picture of us on our honeymoon this last April. It was one of those honeymoons where it was 2 years down the road because we had a COVID wedding. So we got married 3 years ago, took a trip to Italy, and it was one of the most incredible trips of my life. We spent 14 days exploring the entire country, and on our wedding day, my wife's parents and my parents were sitting in the crowd, and little did they know, they knew we were going to Italy, but we told them that we'd been saving the last 2 years and that we'd be bringing them with us for the second part of our Italy trip. So not only did we get to experience and celebrate our marriage, but we got to bring our parents for the second 7 days, and they had never been out of the country. So that was something that I love to talk a little bit about, just because everyone in this room has a family, has relationships, and that typically is what grounds us in anything we do. Okay, so a little bit about some of the companies I'm involved with. I'll start off on the right side here. So a couple years ago, we started a podcast called the Dirtbags Podcast. It's almost exactly what it sounds like. It's a couple dirtbags on there that are providing resources to the construction industry. So that podcast, we typically put out an episode every 2 weeks, and it has since grown into a business of its own. And it's been incredible to network with other dirtbags across the country and across the world. So currently our podcast is listened to in all 50 states and in 23 countries. We have dirtbags in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and people that are doing the same thing that we're all doing here in this room, running a septic company, excavation company, mass excavation, whatever it is. but we're really trying to build that community of showing, hey, there are other people out there going through the struggles that you're going through, or there's other people out there that are doing something new and innovative that you can learn from. So that podcast is just a vehicle that we use in a very fun, lighthearted way. We like to have a glass of whiskey on there. It's unfiltered, so our guests can say whatever they want to say, and our goal is not to filter on that podcast. Dirtbags University, that is essentially a more educational-based version of the podcast, a little bit tighter, and we actually hire a speaker every 8 weeks, and we do a live Zoom webinar. And so it's great because, quick show of hands, how many people here had straight A's in school, got a 4-year degree, and absolutely love learning from a textbook? Okay, Dervin, you can put your hand down there. So basically, most of us don't love school in the typical way that we're supposed to learn, right? So Dirtbags University, what we found out is there are people out there that are running a construction company or running a business that want to learn and grow their business, that want to provide a better life for their family, but they just learn a different way than the typical school system. So we've devised this Zoom webinar every 8 weeks, and it has been incredible to see the people that show up. We typically do it 7:30 p.m. on a Monday night, and we encourage people to, bring your favorite beverage, bring a beer, bring a drink, bring a notepad, bring a pen, because we're gonna sit here for the next hour and a half and learn and dive into what this speaker has to talk about. Most importantly is that these topics that we bring in and we talk about are tailored for the industry. So we're not just bringing in people to talk about, how you can 10x your leads, because most of you are probably thinking, well, that's not my problem right now. I don't need more work. So what we do is we tailor it to what the actual issue is. Maybe you're having issues with hiring. Maybe you're having issues with cash flow. We just brought in a speaker, his name's Scott Pieper. He came in and talked all about cash flow in construction. He even wrote a book on it. So we, as the Dirtbags, paid him to come in and speak to our online Zoom webinar. And to see the support that we've had for that program has been incredible. And we want to lead with giving and giving value. So I wanted to touch on those first. Next, which seems like it's the odd one out of the group, is Turf Wars Racing. I call this one our guilty pleasure business. It's 4 friends and myself, so I'm a part owner. I don't own it 100%. Essentially, it is side-by-sides, dirt bikes, quads, banshees, racing down a 300-foot straight track. But the great part is it's racing for all ages. Anyone can do it. And so what I'll show you here, I wanted to throw a couple pictures in. I was motivated by Therese. I was like, man, she's got a lot of pictures in her presentation. I got to keep up here. So here's a picture. We have different classes. So we have a kids class, open mod, 150cc, farm utility. So we'll see lawnmowers blasting down and everything, and it's great. One of my other favorite pictures here, this is a gal named Harper. This was last year. She came to our Turf Wars event in Minnesota. It was her 4-year-old birthday, and she was racing her sister, which is right behind her. So they went head to head. Harper had never raced ever in her life, but it was just really cool to see that opportunity and see the smiles on the kids' faces, see the parents and grandparents all cheering her on during that race. So there's a picture of myself and then our Turf Wars team, and then one of our friends that had won the open mod. We typically do a cash prize for open mod. And then you see a little bit of everything there. So this is, if you can't afford a truck, you got to get your dirt bike there somehow. So what I love about this business, and it is a business, we do make money and we promote it like a business. What I love about it is it almost connects a lot of my passions and my worlds. So I am big into the septic and construction world. And then I realized I really like to race, and I like to go fast, and I like to rip around on things. And I realized a lot of people in construction like to do that too. So how many people here have a side-by-side, have gone off-roading, like to rock crawl? Yeah, I see lots of hands going up here, so that's good news. And then, of course, we got to start the race with the local police department ripping down lights and sirens. the support from the community on that has been great. We even have the ambulances go down too. They like to take a rip down the track, but my dad was a local police officer in my hometown for about 28 years, and so really showing them that, hey, we're here to support the community. We're not here to go against it. So having the support from the local law enforcement, we actually have this idea where we want to go firefighters versus county sheriffs versus city versus state patrol, and whoever wins, we donate the proceeds to their department. So that's an idea we've got in the works. And then kind of coming to my main business, which is a bit more of what I'm talking about today, is Phaser Marketing. It's a marketing agency I started in 2019, about 4 years ago. In a nutshell, we do digital marketing for excavation and septic companies. Now, when I tell that to most of my family and most of my family's friends, they think I'm crazy and, Luke, you need to go, you need to expand, you need to work with other industries, you're turning away business. And what I tell them is that's almost the opposite of what I'm trying to do. My goal and my mission is to have an impact on an industry, to raise an industry up. And over the last 4 years, I've shown that when you give so much to a certain industry, to a certain group of people, they've got your back and they'll make sure you're taken care of no matter what. So currently, we've been growing, and so we work with about 53 excavation and septic companies across the United States and Canada on a full-time basis. So they're in either one of our phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 programs. And typically, we've got them tailored towards revenue. So I don't want to just say, yep, one size fits all. If you guys do $1 million in revenue and you guys do $20 million in revenue, you get the same thing. It's just not how it would work with your budget. So since we've worked in the industry for years now, we understand how we can tailor a digital marketing solution for where you're at in your business and how to get you to that next step. A little bit more about Phaser Marketing, kind of like I talked about with the community. I love trying to give back to the community. There's one other picture that's missing here, but the last 3 years, so in 2020, I essentially started the business. We had about $800 in revenue for the year, which is great. And I still wanted to somehow give back, because I know it's a big thing of, some people say, oh, I'll start giving back when we make it or when we have enough money. But I know that we can be more creative than that. And a lot of times it's your time and your resources that you can do. So the last 3 years, I've put on this Phaser fundraiser and give back to the local Boys and Girls Club. So this is from, the one on the left is from last year, our Black Tie Gala in 2022. And then the one on the right was from this last August in 2023, where we actually donated $30,000. But it was getting the community and the construction industry from across the nation together to support this one local community. And then I wanted to throw this in there because next week I'm flying back up to my hometown of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and we do the polar plunge. So this is just me mid-cannonball, trying to raise money for charity, jumping in the frozen lake. So I wanted to throw that in there as well. And then as Dervin and Jason handed out a copy of my book, The Digital Dirt World, that is for you guys to keep and bring home. My contact information is on the last page. It's page 114. Cell number, website, anything you need, you can text me. And that's the goal with this, right? This book isn't the end-all, be-all. Let's be honest, in 6 months, the information in there could change because of the way the digital landscape is going. So it's meant to be a good framework, a good baseline, and then for you to shoot me a text and say, hey, Luke, so I'm trying to do this with my Google business profile. What do you think? And then I'll shoot you a text right back. And I always want to be a resource first and a marketing agency second. I want that door to be open for you guys to always feel like you can contact me with any questions, even if you're working with a current marketing person and you feel like you don't know if what they're doing is honest. I help people like that all the time. So let's get into it here. Basically, we've got 35, 40 minutes, and I want to open it up for Q&A after that. So as we dive in, we want to talk about completing the loop, attract, educate, acquire. That can be used for any type of situation. The 3 8s. I don't know if anyone's heard of that yet. So SEO, which is a big topic. I know it's touched on a little bit yesterday, but I want to dive in a little bit more on the education side of it. and finding your why, which is the most important piece. So this is one of my favorite questions to ask, because typically with most septic contractors, excavation contractors, they say, oh, Luke, I don't need marketing. Like, what? We're too busy as it is. We just need to hire people. And it's kind of a funny question, because I always say, well, how do you hire people? Typically it's through marketing, or how they find you. So marketing is a very broad topic. And so one question I like to hone in on with a company or with you is saying, does your website accurately represent your company's history, values, story, and the work you provide for your customers? I'm sure most of you here know that you guys are the top dogs when it comes to taking care of your customers. And you also know another company in your region that doesn't take care of your customers. And a good way to think about it is, who would you want your family to work with? If they had a first experience working with a septic contractor, who would you want them to be working with? So when it comes to closing the loop, I'm a digital marketing guy. I love digital marketing. I think once you start following along with some of the things we do on social media, you'll realize that I probably do more of the non-digital marketing tactics than I do the digital side. I'm more of a business guy and just happen to be in the digital space. So what I mean by that, yes, digital marketing is great. It will accentuate your service and what you do. It'll help people find you and tell people about your business, your service. But the non-digital marketing pieces that you do, those can never go away. Those only need to be amplified. So, and I want to be very clear on that, because it's not an either or, it's not a one or the other. These need to go together hand in hand. So, a couple examples for you guys. Digital marketing. This is more of the things that we do, building a good, solid website that's easy to navigate. You can easily jump on mobile, search around. SEO, that's search engine optimization. We're going to dive into that a little later here. Paid ads, that would be paying for a sponsored ad and somebody finding it, clicking on it. Graphic design, social media, your Google business profile, getting those Google reviews, and Google Analytics. Flip to the other side, non-digital marketing. This is just as important as the digital side. Equipment branding, handwritten cards, which is always forgotten. The custom air fresheners. I hope most of you are already doing the air fresheners, because the septic industry is perfect for that. Every client I've seen that have gotten a custom air freshener from their septic contractor absolutely loves it. It's in the shape of their red trucks. They get to put it in their vehicle, and it resembles that customer communication that you can have. Educating the customer, doing job walks, walking them through how their system works, because we all know how it works, but the customer, that brand new customer, you go to their house, they might have no idea where their tank even is or what it does. So just taking that extra time to build a lifelong customer and not just going out, pumping the tank and going to the next one. Wrapped vehicles, I think this should be number one. Getting your vehicles wrapped, getting some nice polos, some nice branded merchandise. Branded invoices, this is a very, very easy one that can be overlooked. Proposals, invoices, estimates. Get a nice looking brand on there with your website and your phone number. And then hats and sweatshirts. So, bless you. I like to look, when I look at any type of business, whether we're trying to hire for your business, whether we're trying to scale your business and get more leads, or whether we're just trying to get more eyeballs on your website, it all goes back to this funnel, right? So attract, educate, acquire. So at the top of a funnel, you need to throw these little ping pong balls in there. And as they go down the funnel, it gets more specific. So what do I mean by that? First, no matter what you're trying to do, you need to attract somebody. Somebody needs to know you exist. And a few things that can help with that is, like I mentioned, showing up organically in search, which would be SEO. Social media presence, so people knowing you exist because they follow you. Maybe they live in your community and they see your stuff pop up. I know Dervin's crushing it right now with Dig It Excavating. That's actually how we met, is through social media, and we live across the country from each other. Branded equipment, yard signs, billboards, digital ads, business cards, mailers. It's what we talked about on the last slide. This is the top of your funnel. So first of all, before you acquire a new employee, before you acquire a new customer, you need to attract them. Top of the funnel. Educate. Now, I think this is the biggest opportunity. Answer your customers' frequently asked questions on your website. For one, this will help your sanity of not having to answer the same question over and over and over again. All your information is on your website. And better yet, because you're answering their questions on your website, Google sees that as, oh, these guys are awesome. They're answering our customers' questions. Let's bump them up the list on our Google search. Explain the service, why, how, and the maintenance. Build trust by educating before selling. This would be the job walks. This would be making sure that they know what's going on before you sell them or upsell them. And then be a resource first. Kind of like I mentioned with my business, I want to be a resource first and a marketing agency second. You guys can all embody that as well, of being a resource and an educator first. And then acquire. You need to make that connection to acquire them at the bottom of the funnel. Make it easy and a no-brainer for them to choose you. Answer your phone. I think maybe some of you feel a little guilty with this. The phone's always ringing. I don't have time to answer it. I don't really care if it's you answering the phone or who it is, but somebody has to be your dedicated person to, no matter what, if somebody calls in, they give them the respect that they deserve because they are calling your business to potentially work with you. And if you're running around or the truck's dinging and you're trying to do a million things and you're not focused, you may lose that customer. So if you're at a point in your business to have an office manager or have somebody dedicated to keep that pumping route filled, that will help your business so much because then you as the owner don't have to be jumping in and being interrupted while you're doing your work. Streamline the process by utilizing your website. So answering those frequently asked questions, have them be able to book an inspection or a pumping through your website, have them be able to fill out a form, but also to acquire them, you need to make sure that not everyone likes to pick up the phone and call anymore. Not everyone likes to send an email. Not everyone likes to fill out a form, but one of those three options will fit the bill for them. So having all three options available, but having it streamlined through your website. And then the quick communication and follow through, that goes back to having a great office manager. In my opinion, a septic company, everything starts and finishes with that person who answers the phone. So if you can audit your business and find out where the leak is, maybe there's cash going out of the business, maybe we're not as productive as we should be or as efficient, I always say, let's take a look at the office manager and see how that is going. If that is you, the owner, that's probably a good tell that we need to delegate that to somebody else. And then appeal to your clients with the forms, the call, the emails. Okay, so this is one of my favorites and actually goes into what we were just talking about with the delegation. So the 3 8s. So this is a little exercise, and I'm going to be doing this on my roundtable session after lunch. So after this, we'll actually be able to do this activity. So the 3 8s, delegate, automate, and eliminate. So what do I mean by that? This is the exercise. You have a piece of paper and you draw a box. In the top left corner, things I love to do in my business and things I'm really good at. Top right, things I love to do in my business, things I'm not great at. Bottom left, things I don't love to do in my business, but unfortunately I'm really good at it. Bottom right, things I hate to do in my business, and I'm terrible at it. So the idea is, on one sheet of paper, you write down every single thing you do in your business. Sending invoices, maintenance on the trucks, pumping, hiring, firing, whatever it is, you write everything you do, and every single task has to go in one of these boxes. And then once you have all the tasks in there, you start with the bottom right, things you hate to do and things you're not good at. And you need to either do one of these 8s. You either need to delegate it to somebody else that's better than you, automate it if it can be automated through technology. Let's say it's a follow-up email. Maybe it doesn't have to be you every time. Maybe we can set up a workflow where it automatically sends a follow-up, or it automatically asks for a review when their invoice is paid? Or can it be completely eliminated? Is it something that is just a bottleneck in your business? So that is something that we'll get to work on in the roundtable, but something that you guys can do and audit your time of what you do as a business owner every single day. So now we get into it. So what is search engine optimization? In a nutshell, how I like to talk about this is Google is a business. You guys have a business, and then in the middle here, there's somebody searching on Google how to do something or has a question. So let's say septic tank pumping near me. All they're looking for is a company that does that near them. So Google's job is to make sure that they don't mess this up and they send them to the right website. So I love this. So does anyone use Google in the world? There are 8.5 billion Google searches a month. And if it sounds like a lot, I actually lied a little bit. So that's 8.5 billion per day. 8.5 billion searches per day. That equates to 2 trillion per year. And then probably one of my favorites, 99,000 every second. And so a lot of you might be thinking, well, that's great, but this is the world. We're in Michigan. It doesn't work like that here. So I wanted to go a bit further. And then also, when it comes to other search engines, people might say, well, I use Bing, or I use DuckDuckGo, or what about Microsoft Outlook? I like to focus all of your time on the big piece of the pie, which would be Google, which owns 83.49% of all searches. The next highest is Bing at 9%. So when you look at where you want to put your time, I would focus on the big one there. So I want to dive in a little bit more on, okay, yes, Luke, this all sounds good, this is great, but how does it relate to my business? Like, how can I see some tangible results? It feels a little blue sky, like I don't totally understand it. So I wanted to use a case study of one of our current clients, Anderson Septic. They're a septic company out of Wilton, Connecticut, and I specifically also wanted to use them because they are 4th generation. They started in 1967, so I also can't hear the feedback of, well, Luke, we do it a different way, we've always done it, we don't want to change or things like that. So I specifically used them, and I also talked to Brian and his dad, Brian, last night and just told them I wanted to talk more about this, and I typically talk about them in my sessions. But I got a little bit more data from them based on the work we've done. So that's what we're going to dive in here for a little bit. So first things first, they had a website that was very outdated. It was years old. They'd built it themselves. So we went in first of all, and our team built a new website for them so we could showcase the work that they do in the community and have been doing for generations. So first things first, when it comes to the acquire stage of the funnel, book your septic pump. That was their main business they're trying to grow. They're trying to get more septic pumping customers. We also have a little CTA, a call to action on the bottom right there, making it easy for people to get a hold of you. Another part, going back up the funnel to educate. The services, we did a very detailed list of the services they provide and educating the customer on what they do so that when they do get a lead or somebody is interested, they don't have to keep filtering out and say, no, we don't do that, we don't do that. The leads they get from Google have no idea who they are when they found them, but it's exactly what they offer because of how their website is structured. So it takes them through that customer journey. So I pulled this report last night. This is a keyword report that we do for all of our clients. And so I wanted to run through this. So when they started with us, they had 0 keywords ranking on Google. So if you typed in septic installer near me, they didn't pop up in the top 100. So what our team does is we do some keyword research and we say, what keywords would you guys want to rank for? And then we expand it and we expand it and we expand it of what people actually search on Google. So now we know, okay, there's 84 total keywords that we want to hit, we want to try and rank for. And over the months of the work that we do, we start to climb that ladder. Start in the top 100, cool, you're a blip on Google's system. That's great, but it's not going to get the phone to ring. It's not really going to work, but at least we're recognized by Google now. Top 30, top 20, I usually skip over those because second and third page of Google, there's like a little running joke where if you ever want to hide a dead body, hide it on the third page of Google because nobody's going to go there and find it. So skip over those, then you go to the top 10. This is where it starts to get interesting. It's like, okay, if we're on the first page of Google, we have a chance somebody finds us when they search. And then, of course, the top 3, that's that gold spot. That is when you search something and you pop up in the top 3, there's the call button, and they see the reviews. That is where you want to be. So pulled this report last night. They now have 62 keywords in the surrounding cities and in Wilton, Connecticut, where they're ranking in the top 3. And so if you type in septic pumping near me, and you're standing in Wilton, Connecticut, that's where they pop up. They pop up number 1, you see their 4.9 stars, 62 Google reviews. You learn a little bit about their company, of their address, when they open, online estimates, and a call button. Boom. So if you guys search this, you're going to pick one of these 3 companies, right? You're not going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. So which one do you pick? You got Mike Septic Service. Might pick him. He's got 13 reviews. That's not bad. Barcello and Son. That's not bad. 28 reviews. I might call them. But why not call Anderson Septic when they have 62 reviews? They pop up number 1. Let's check out their website first. And then they go to that website and they're actually impressed instead of turned away. So this is when I was talking about the keywords and the Google searches. It's like, yeah, Luke, we get it. 2 trillion or whatever in a year. That's cool. How does this relate to Connecticut, this guy that we're talking about, Anderson Septic, or even Michigan? So I pulled this report last night as well because I wanted to get very accurate data of how many times these things are searched. So if we take a look here, I brought up both of them. If you type in septic pumping near me, in the state of Connecticut, there's 320 searches every single month for that. That's just that one keyword of the 62 that we're ranking in the top 3 for. 33,000 in the US in every single month for septic pumping near me. Let's drop down to Michigan, because I was curious about that. Way more, 2.4 thousand every single month, people are searching for that keyword. So if you ask yourself, well, if we're not there, somebody's got to be. So Google is going to pick somebody to go up there. So whether that's your competition, whether that's your long-lost uncle who just threw something together, whatever it is, Google has to put somebody there because there's 2.4 thousand people in Michigan searching for that one phrase every single month, every 30 days. So just to show you the vast opportunity there, because when you do have this SEO built out and Anderson Septic, now all of a sudden just that one keyword, you're getting all this traffic, but then you're getting traffic from all the other keywords as well. So I wanted to break down a little bit of where they were and where they are now. 2022, we hadn't worked with them yet before us. Four generations. They started in 1967. They had 6 Google reviews. 3 were 5-star Google reviews. 94 new pumping customers that they had. And they had an outdated website that they didn't want to show to anyone. So 2023, first year with us, this is what we saw. They had that new professional website that they're proud of. They're proud to send out to the community, to others. 62 5-star Google reviews, which only helps our whole strategy to get you ranking. 263 just new pumping customers on top of 54 and more new installs and repairs. It took their business from about 800K in 2022. They're doing about 1.7 million this year, and now we focus more on operations. Okay, now what type of operations team do we need to help them build out so that they can sustain this and then keep on growing? And then, most importantly, a long-term plan to continue their legacy. This is 4 generations. We don't want it to die with this generation. We want this thing to keep going, to keep blessing their kids, their grandkids, and their future kids down the road if they want to be in this business. And this is a picture. This is my last point I'm talking about. So this is Brian and his son. And I asked him a couple months ago, I said, Brian, why do you do what you do? Why do you get up every day? Why do you go to work? Why do you work so hard? And he sent me this picture and he said, Luke, I want to build something special so that if my kids one day want to take it over and be blessed by this business, they can. If they don't, no problem, but I want to help them either way. I want to give them options. What I don't want to do is give them something that's going to curse them and something that's going to be so stressful. So he wants to work hard now so that he can spend more time with his kids and be there as a dad for them. So as we wrap up today, all this marketing stuff's great. Everything we're learning at this conference is awesome. But at the end of the day, there's got to be some reason why we're doing all of this. What is driving you guys to hit that next goal, to hire that next person, to buy that next truck, to take it up a notch in business? What is pushing you guys to take it to that next level? And really, here's another picture he sent me today, actually. So this is his little boy, too, just playing with his Tonka truck, mini excavator, next to their real equipment. And I just love to see that from him. And really, it's all there in all of us, is why do we want to do this? And you just got to dig it out, and you got to figure out, okay, am I doing this for the money? Great. But then why do you need the money? Okay, so I can spend more time with my kids. Okay, there it is. Like, let's keep digging into that. And then this is why I'm so passionate about finding your why and building a business that you can pass off to others. So about 2 years ago, I have this text up here on the screen, sitting in church and with my wife. I was 26 years old and had been a few months of having these breathing issues that I was getting tested for. I couldn't figure it out. Sitting in church, great sermon, and then I felt this tightness come on again. And so knew it was more serious. Told my wife, I just said, I think I got to go to the hospital. I don't know if this one is going to come back. And so never forget it. She drove me to the ER. It was a quiet drive because I think she knew I was nervous. And so she brought me there. It's 2021, so right when I got into the ER, they booted her out to the parking lot because she couldn't be in there with me. And I'll never forget, I was sitting on the bed, and I've never had that feeling where I was like, this is probably my last breath, and this is probably my last day. But there was a sense of peace that came over me, and I think that goes back to my love for Jesus Christ and knowing that He's got me with whatever situation, and what a blessing it was to live 26 years on this earth and to be blessed with a beautiful wife and parents that care and love me. And I was thinking, I'm like, I just want to send out one text, and sent this to my Bible study. I'm in a Bible study group with some guys that are all entrepreneurs, and I said, hey boys, if you could say a quick prayer for me, that'd be great. Having breathing issues again, and ended up in the ER. But the meaning behind it was, I know I'm going to be okay no matter what. So when I sent that, I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I know that if I got another opportunity to keep walking this earth, that I'm going to appreciate every sunset, every sunrise that comes, and every conversation that I have. So wanted to share that, and thank you guys for allowing me to be here. And then this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. So it's Confucius. We have two lives, and the second one begins when we realize we only have one. So take that into consideration, everything we're doing with business at this conference, and really give it a bit more purpose and meaning. And with that, here's some more of my info, and I do want to save a couple minutes here for some questions. And so we've got the handhelds here as well. So.
I was just wondering, with your podcasts, you do them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But if you sign up or start joining it, is it something where you can watch your previous shows? You keep records of those on all your podcasts?
Absolutely. So we make it super easy. So we have a website, dirtbagspodcast.com. but we're on every single streaming platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and I think right now we have about 55 episodes published, so you can go back, you can go forward. We have new Dirtbag listeners that will find us and they're like, this is what I needed, and they'll binge watch the whole 55 episodes. So it's really cool that you're kind of building this library of different speakers that we've had on, different resources, and just trying to build that camaraderie within the industry. How long are the podcasts? So some of them are 40 minutes, some go for an hour and a half. It just depends on how much fun we're having, but we try not to have too much structure there, just let it be a free-flowing conversation. But it's been cool. We're trying to be very innovative with it, so we've done a few live podcast shows. We've done some where we have speakers come in. We've even done some short Q&A sessions where some people just have questions about the industry or how to estimate or how to get into commercial work, and we can just go through and answer those on some shorter podcasts. So we try and relate to all types of listeners, and so the way we like to build podcast listeners is say like, hey, if you're in the truck driving and you got a 6-hour drive, toss on the podcast. Or if you're sitting operating all day and you're just in the excavator, toss on the podcast. Like, it's just something relatable where you can feel like, man, I'm going through that same thing right now, but it's cool to hear it from all across the world, really. All right, we've got a couple more questions here. Yeah, so the question is, if I could say one thing that I'd take out of the book, I believe it's chapter 6. It's probably a good place to start. It should have been chapter 1, I guess, but that's on me. It's a social media chapter. I think that's the easiest one for all of us to grasp right away. I love talking about the big 4. So what I mean by that is there's 4 social media platforms in construction that I would recommend: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and your Google business profile. And the great part about it is you don't have to think too hard about it. So I'm not saying you need to have a different strategy for LinkedIn and a different strategy for Instagram. Whatever you are going to put on Facebook anyway, put that same post on Instagram, put that same post on LinkedIn, and put that same post on your Google business profile. I think a lot of people don't realize that your Google business profile, where you get your Google reviews, actually has a social media feature to it. So cross-posting it to those 4 platforms is always good, because Facebook, you're going to get a lot of your residential clients, your community is on there, aunts, uncles, grandparents. Instagram is great because you're going to network with construction companies and septic companies all across the world, and when you run into issues, you can see what they're doing. LinkedIn is one of my favorites because that is where you meet the decision makers, the executives, the project managers, the estimators. That is where they are. And then the Google business profile, you're essentially just, Google is picking up on your keywords of your posts that you're putting in there. So I believe it's chapter 6 in the book, but I talk a little bit about social media, and so that could be a good first place to start. Yeah.
Can you explain everybody about cell phones, your search engine, to your desktops?
Yes, I love that question. So the question is what's the difference and how has it changed from desktop to cell phones, basically desktop to mobile? And so one important thing that we do is we don't want to miss all 3 of them. So there's desktop, tablet, and mobile. So one thing that we do is we make sure that no matter what, if somebody pulls up your website or your Google business profile, you're good on all 3 devices. But what we've seen is a massive shift to where almost 90% of searches are done on mobile. And so you need to make sure, and the great part about that is you can call right from the search. And so when I pulled up that Google search for septic pumping near me, there's a little call button. It doesn't have that on desktop. So just being there, being in front of them when they search, one click, tell them you're good. Just being there for them is what we try and do there. Good question. Okay, any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Let's go eat some lunch, and I'll be here all day and tomorrow, and then we'll also have a round table at 1 o'clock. So thank you guys.